Le Cordon Bleu College of Culinary Arts is dedicated to preparing aspiring professionals in the areas of culinary arts, patisserie and baking, and hospitality and restaurant management.
Disaster Planning and Response Art Rescue is a first responder for the world of art, providing planning, packing, evacuation, conservation, and storage for all your treasured possessions. Paperweights are the crown jewels of glass artistry. You can discover both antique and modern paperweights at the L.H. Selman Gallery in Chicago's Fine Arts Building.
My name is Elysabeth Alfano, and you are at Fehribach Art Presents The Dinner Party. What we do here is I invite a celebrity chef, and he cooks a fantastic meal that we pair with beer or wine and a little bit of chocolate. I invite 3 artists. It's usually creatives, but sometimes it's an entrepreneur or an inventor. And over food and wine and some impromptu performances, the conversations flow.
What inspires me is just knowing that there are kids every day that's getting shot on the south side of Chicago. You know, and so just coming from where I am, I care about that. You know, so what I've been doing, I have an organization, it's called the Speak Life Movement, and we use poetry and poets for activism. And so we speak on those things, and we go into the schools. I developed a curriculum, and I've been working with DuSable Museum. It's called I Paint Words. And so we go into the West Side. You know, I've gone to the West Side and just almost got shot going on the West Side. You know, so you almost have to put your life at stake just to teach.
She reminds me of Ruth because she's full of the truth. Full of the stuff that bears fruit, gentle as a dove with the passion of a youth. And every time I hug her, I have to repent.
First of all, I want to say I'm really glad he went first, so I got to eat.
Good, yes, and please eat and...
Excellent. I thought maybe you were going to make me sing for my food.
That's another show.
You made him sing for his.
You did great.
It was beautiful.
It was great.
You know, I think like in a film like The Interrupters or other films that I've done here, centered here in Chicago, yes, in a film like Interrupters, you know, which is about urban violence in this city, much of what Marco has experienced and copes with on a regular basis, yes, there is this terrible thing, this terrible threat to community, right? But I think one of the things we really found in making the film is that despite it all, there is a community there, and there are people that care about that community and want that community to prosper and survive, and it's heroic, frankly, what people will do. And I hope that when you see a film like The Interrupters, you feel that it's not hopeless, because we didn't set out to make a film that painted the situation as hopeless. We tried to do a film that made you see heroic people in these communities doing something about their communities and having success.
So of course we have a gazillion tweets coming in at the moment. I'm going to see if I can award 2 prizes at once. So one is from M.H. Marr. And one is from Digster71, and they have similar questions, so I'm going to award them both. Films from Kartemquin. So if you go to kartemquin.com, which is the wonderful organization that put out The Interrupters, you can pick any film you want. Of course you're going to pick The Interrupters, but just in case you picked anything else, you could, and we will send it to you. It is your gift. And so both are asking similar questions. You worked on The Interrupters, where you saw a lot of gang violence, and I'm wondering, what did you learn there? What can we still learn about gang violence?
You know, I think we too often think that that these communities are in profound despair and have given up, and they haven't. And I think that's a testament to their resilience, and it's a testament to their courage.
Do you think you would have made it out of the projects without poetry?
Absolutely not.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely not. It was a, we hear it all the time when it comes to art. We say it's an outlet, but that's an understatement. If it wasn't for poetry, it was my way of crying.
Right.
You know, it's like tears on paper. Poetry was.
Yeah.
You know, writing songs and creating something, you know, putting all of that.
How did you find poetry?
I found it seeing my dad out the bedroom window and knowing where he was going. You know, knowing he was going to the drug house, and my friends coming back to tell me, you know, I saw your daddy at the crack house.
Right.
You know, that's how I found poetry. I found poetry knowing that my mother, she had a mental disorder. That's how I found that creative outlet. I
had to find it.
I had to find it. It forced me. It pushed me into that direction.
Do you start out thinking you know what the story is and you're surprised by it somewhere in the middle?
You know, that's a really good question. I think I always start out thinking I know what the film's going to be about and an idea about what the story is going to be, but if it's at all going to be an interesting film, it changes, and it's always more interesting than my imagination of what it would be. And it really is this discovery, you know. I think the best films, at least in documentary, and I think it's probably true from your work in fiction, there's some aspect of discovery that goes on along the way, right? If it were just perfect on the page of a script, or it's like, well, what's the point? I mean, what's the point of doing it if it's so perfect already, you know? And so I think there's that aspect, right? I mean, how does this translate? What I do is mostly in documentary. How does it translate to the work that you do as an actor?
In acting, I'm given a role. So for instance, with the unit, I came in and...
We've got some pictures of her on the unit, too.
Okay.
Yes, such fans of the unit, really, and your work on the unit.
You have all these pictures of me with hair.
Sorry, I guess, sorry.
No, just kidding. But I went in, and that was a piece that was written by David Mamet. And I'm coming in with probably 4 pages, and that's the character. That's all I know about the character going in for the audition. So I have to kind of build my own history so that I can figure out how she says things. So with that, I get the part. And then we don't know if the show's going to go on for a year, or they have maybe a year arc, and then they have to figure out as we go along over the next years what's going to happen to the character. You try and stay true to who the character is in terms of building these plot lines, but the actor doesn't have a clue what they're going to be saying from one day to the next. And I find that that's really interesting.
If you could talk to me a little bit about all the work that you've been doing leading up to Crown. So you've been really trying to create. So this woman refines community. She refines a foundation in the South. And you've been trying to do that in Chicago leading up to Crown.
Yes.
So you have been having poetry, right, and music and dance. Tell me about what you've been doing.
Yes, making different connections so that it's an event that happens on the Goodman stage, a theatrical piece that happens in the theater, but at the same time it's happening across the city, collaging different communities, bringing different communities together, and working with, for instance, Louder Than a Bomb, with young ladies between 17 and 21 years old, to look at the piece, imagine themselves in Yolanda's shoes, and vice versa. And they've created these beautiful spoken word pieces that I'm collaging into the show. So our Yolanda, it was trying to tap into the voices of the Yolandas across the city in Chicago and giving them a voice on the stage.
Oh, his eye is on the sparrow.
For us, it's just, you know, the foundation of Be the Groove is all rooted in using the body as an instrument. And, you know, we were talking before about like going into communities, like a community like where you grew up, and I was, during the commercial break, I was saying how we just went out and did a 4-week residency in Bronzeville. And yeah, we did. And
I didn't know that.
It was really awesome. And, you know, in communities like that, it's so important to go in like it's easy to go in and go, oh my God, this is going to be hard. But when you go in with that mentality, you've
already lost
you've
it,
failed,
right?
and you've done a complete disservice to them, because it's like you're not even giving them a chance to show how awesome they are. You're just coming in with stereotypes. So for us, it's about, you know, not only giving them a platform to share their voice, but to go in and let them know that instantly we believe that they have a voice to share.
Right.
And it was awesome. And the successes in those communities when we can get to them are amazing. And you know, we had a kid who, I didn't get it, he had his head down the whole time and he was really timid, and I was like, dude, come on, you got something in you that you need to share. And the teacher like came to me and told me that he had been shot in the finger like recently, and I couldn't understand why he had to go through that. So like for me, my whole goal that day was like, just get that kid to like lift his head up confidently and to look me in the eyes. And I just wanted him to know that like no matter what he's going through, doesn't matter what community he lives in, that I believe in what he has to offer. And by the end of the day, like he was hurting, but his head was up and he was smiling. And that for me that was my definition of success in that moment. I was like, awesome, you can leave knowing that you had a good hour. That's great. I'm happy that I was able to share that with you.
Let's look at this. This is directly from Paul's bio. It will make you love him. Paul Fehribach is executive chef and co-owner of Big Jones. Throughout his career, Paul has supported farm-to-table and slow food movements. I do what I do because I see nutrition, sustainability, and humane treatment of farm animals become the standard by which we judge food. Not cheap price, not industrial consistency, and not marketing dollars spent. We can all eat better by treating the land and our animal friends better. Is that smart? Isn't that smart?
Thank you.
So we're talking about community. Here is one community I do not want to be a part of. You are open 7 days a week. You serve lunch and dinner twice a day. They never close. A restaurant is just one industry I don't want to work in. How do you do it?
Well, it helps if you love what you're doing.
Yes, of course. Yes. And you do, clearly.
You know, I get up in the morning and I look forward to what I'm going to be doing when I get to work. So, you know, I'm fortunate enough to be in the position now where I run the business and I have about 25 employees. Wow. Which is fun also to have that many relationships in your business. But I get to sort of decide what I want to do. So, you know, if I feel like making pie today, I'm gonna go to work and make pie. And you guys can chop the vegetables and do all the boring stuff over there.
Well, and so that is my tweet for you. Clarabelle728 has just won dinner for two at Big Jones. And my tweet from Clarabelle728 is, what is your favorite meal to make for yourself?
I eat gumbo probably 5 days a week.
You do? Really?
Yes.
Wow, that's a lot of gumbo. Thank you all for coming. We're going to be here. Thank you, Time Out Chicago, for watching us stream live.